Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paid Social Show as part of Brighton SEO. My name is Tiffany, and I am a PPC account manager at Absolute Digital Media. And I'm here to talk to you today about how to build a successful e-commerce strategy for paid social. Facebook is a wonderful tool for e-commerce, and people always underestimate how good it can be for your account to use it. With the catalog ads that they have that mirror Google Shopping, it is a really valuable tool to have under your belt. Now, when I talk about Facebook ads, I do also mean Instagram, and I'm only going to talk about those two today because they're the best ones for e-commerce because of the catalog ads. That's not to say that you can't use the other ones like LinkedIn. It's just to say that I do find that this tends to be a lot more successful. So I focused on these strategies because I only have a certain amount of time, and I could talk to you forever about how paid social can help e-commerce. The first thing I'm going to talk about is tracking. And I know you're probably thinking, well, why does she want to talk to me about tracking? Because it's just so simple and so obvious. Well, you'd be surprised at how many accounts that I still see come through that don't have tracking set up correctly. You want to make sure that tracking is set up correctly. With tracking, you can find out what audiences do the best, what ads do the best, what images are moving people, what kind of wording you should be using in your ad copy. To get all that valuable information, you need to make sure that tracking is set up correctly. And I've also found out myself that if you set up your own eventful transactions rather than just using the Pixel one, it actually pulls through to Google Data Studio a lot more better if that's what you want to use. With a iOS 14.5 update as well, you need to make sure you're setting up your aggravated event management. So you can do that by going to the Pixel Conversions API, and it's a tab next to it. And this is how you'd set it up for transactions. If you have like a contact us form, that would go under purchase, but because purchase would be your most valuable event, you need to make sure that's first, and then you just go down the funnel down to view content. It's all in the audience. Facebook has amazing audiences capabilities that you can't get on Google. If you know what your audience persona is, you can only advertise to those people, which saves you a lot of money. And I know from personal experience that sometimes because of that, the CPL can be a lot lower on Facebook than can be Google. Like example, we've got an account now where it's both on Facebook and Google, and they've got the same amount of conversions, but the CPL on Facebook is a lot lower for that reason. Know when to use prospecting and remarketing. Prospecting and remarketing are both very, very important for the account, but you just have to use them correctly. We've all seen the sales funnel. You've got your awareness stage, your consideration stage, and your conversion stage. So in your awareness stage, you've got affinity, interests. For your consideration, you've got intent and lookalike. And for conversion, you've got retargeting. The awareness stage is very broad. And as you're going down the consideration stage, so it's becoming more specific until you've got your conversion, which is very specific targeting. In your awareness stage, you've got both broad and engaged. So broad would be like the interest. I have an interest in chocolate. You might want to couple that up with engaged shoppers so that it's not too broad. You've got your engaged, which would be engaging with your Facebook page or engaging with an ad or even engaging with a post. You know, your lookalikes would be lookalike add to cart, lookalike converted, lookalike purchase value is a good one. And then you got your add to cart and then your visited website page. I'm not going to talk about iOS 14.5 update because we've got plenty of speakers talk about that today already. What I will say is because of this, we have seen a slight drop in revenue. This is because only about 13% of the people worldwide are opting in to being tracked. One thing that we've done, and we've seen an increase from it, and that's not to say it's going to work for you, but it's always worth a try, is we've opened up our audiences where we can. So, for example, if you can change a lookalike audience from 1% to 2%, that might help you bring it back up. We did that on one of our accounts, and we've seen a 17.4% increase in revenue and a 27.6 increase in ROAS. Messaging is key. You probably all heard this saying, right message, right user, right time. Well, that's like one of the number one rules in digital marketing, and that's what we always try to achieve to get. But how can you get this on Facebook ads? Well, I'm going to bring you back to the sales funnel because that's going to be a part of it. So with your awareness stage and with your consideration stage, they both fall under prospecting. So you want to kind of put your messaging to be very like story like and brand like and what it will do for you. You know, for example, you know, come and get our facials, they'll be relaxing, it'll make your skin feel amazing. Come and buy our nappies. You know, we donate 5p to a charity. Those kind of messages that make people intrigued as you as a business or your product. And then your conversion is your retargeting. And that's when you want to get more down to the buy now, don't miss out. So what you want to make sure you're doing with the messaging as well as using power words. So power words could be like, don't miss out, limited time offer, buy now, shop now, fabulous, empowered, all those kind of words that move people. These are prospecting ads and they're a good example of the kind of messaging you want to do. We're talking about our salon, we're talking about how it's a full service spa, we're talking about how it's an affordable luxury, put life back into your hair. And then you go on to the retargeting ads that are very much like using the power words, like feel empowered, buy now, don't miss out. And all those kind of words is what you want to use to bring that into the retargeting. Try different ad types. There are so many different ad types on Facebook that you want to make sure that you're using all different types of them. There's one thing that I always say as a PPCer, and that's there's no one rule for everything, because you could have accounts where things don't work and then you could try it on a different account and it magically works and there's no reason for it. So you always want to try different things and test in different things, and ad types is no exception to that. You've got dynamic ads. So this is where Facebook will use their machine learning algorithm to dynamically show product pages that they think is the most relevant one to show. You've got your collection ads. So these are something where you can show a collection of different products on Facebook. And again, Facebook will use their machine learning. If you want to set up collection ads, the first thing you have to do is you have to set up what are called catalog sets. So here, for example, we've got all products and then you've got chocolates and food cupboards and the different categories that for this business are the most important ones. When you go to set up the ad, if you click collection, you'll be able to set that one up. You can also set up dynamic videos if you want to as well. And this is roughly what a collection ad would look like. It's very similar to carousel ads. And then you've got carousel ads, and this is what it would look like for product sets, for example. So it looks very much like collection ads, but it is slightly different. So it's still worth using both. And then you've got your single image ads and your video ads. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is the images that you use. Use high quality images. If you have a look at these images here, they're all high quality and they all make you feel something. You know, I look at the photos of the places and it makes me think, oh, I really, really want to be there. Or the football one, like, I wish I could do that. Or even just the first image is just something so beautiful, so serene about it. But the point is, all these images make me feel something. And when people feel something, they're more inclined to then make a purchase or invest in that company or invest in that product. Top sellers catalog list. I'm surprised at how many people don't use a top sellers catalog list. I think it's just one of those things that's very underrated, because If you already know what your best performing products are, then why wouldn't you put that into its own catalog list so that only those products show? That way you are more likely to see purchases, and use it from different channels as well. One thing that I have noticed, and I've noticed this quite a lot, is that people will stay in their lane. So what I mean by that is you'll have a different account manager for Facebook and a different account manager for Google PPC, and they will stay in their own channels and they won't have a look at data from cross channels. Now, I don't understand personally why people do that, because if you have a look at Google, for example, you've not only got the paid side, but you've also got the organic side, and you've got all that data around analytics. So why not use that data that you've already got access to on analytics and use that to improve your Facebook? One thing that I always say is all the digital marketing channels should support each other, and this is no exception. So use your top sellers from Google, use your top sellers from any other channels. Just have a look at what items sell the best and put that in its own list. And you'd probably want a top 100. Checked disapproved items. Now with Facebook, you should check disapproved items quite regularly, because I'm going to be honest, they don't have a very good automatic approval system. I mean, I've seen bottles of water be disapproved as alcohol, it's water, or even health violations. And I'm like, it's water. You can't get any healthier than water. And it happens quite a lot. So I always say, at least once a month, but if you can, every couple of weeks, you need to be going through your disapproved items. We can see here that we've got Aero, which is a chocolate bar, breaching their policy. Now, I've been through their policy and there's nothing in there in terms of the image that would cause that to be rejected. So it's being rejected because for some reason they seem to think that an Aero bar shouldn't be advertised on Facebook. Test, test, and test. Everything has its purpose. Everything has a reason. There are nothing that's been set up in digital marketing that is there for nothing. But what you do often find is that one thing that will work on one account won't work on another account. And I think sometimes we're so scared to try new things that we just stay in this frame of mind of, well, it's not worked on all of my other accounts, so I'm not even going to try it. But as long as you're testing things, then it's never actually going to do any massive damage to your account. So there's no harm in trying. I've had the question quite a lot of when should I end a test? Now, I can't really give you that answer because it's very, very subjective. It depends on the situation. But one thing that I will say is I'll give you a few words of advice. Number one, you need to make sure that you're leaving it long enough for it to be a valid test. I would say at least a month. But then on top of that, if you're seeing a big drop in conversions, then you might need to end that test early, because that's the last thing that you need. We're trying to see what would improve the account, not what make it worse. And the two pitfalls that people tend to fall under is, number one, they don't leave it long enough and they end it too early and you don't have a conclusive result. Or number two, they leave it running for the month because they stick to that rule, but then performance has gone down so much that you're then getting complaints from the stakeholders about how much performance has gone down. We don't want that, but you, as the marketer on the account, use your gut instinct. Set up a Google Data Studio report. Now, I'm not afraid to admit that the Google interface is annoying and confusing, and I can never seem to find out how to get the results. The other day, I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out why it's not showing me the conversions or the contact us forms, only to realize that I left it in view setup mode. And I was having one of those moments where you're like, oh my God. Yeah, it was one of those moments. It can be really confusing, the interface. So what I tend to do now is I set up a Google Data Studio report. It's a lot more efficient and it has saved me a lot more time. With the Google Data Studio report, you can have a look at revenue easily, have a look at conversions, and have a look at spend so easily. You can even then break that down by campaign, and it's just an easy and quick way to get the answer you need so that you can quickly address the account and any problems. Also, you can get this in Google Data Studio by using the Supermetrics plugin. We use it and it's great. And we don't just use it for Facebook, we use it for LinkedIn as well. And it does make it a lot easier. The other thing that I'm going to talk to you about is budget. So budget is one of those things that people underestimate, again, how important it is. So you've got your prospecting and you've got your remarketing, and you need to decide what you're going to put towards prospecting and what you're going to put towards remarketing. But that could change. I had one account where the majority of the money went to retargeting because that did better. But then in recent weeks, because of the OS 14.5 update, retargeting's gone down and prospecting performance has increased. So I've now actually changed my budgets to put more towards prospecting. So you need to make sure that you're fluid with where you put your budgets, just like you would with Google. Also use Facebook's optimization, the budget optimization. I like to use the lifetime budgets. The reason for that is because if I have a day, say my budget is about £20 a day. If I have a day where I only spend £5, Facebook will then use that extra £15 the next day, and I might spend a lot more. So then I might see more conversions for my money. Whereas without the budget optimizations, it will spend £5, then £20, then £5. And then by the end of the month, I might have all this money left over. So I've got 20% decrease in budget, but I've also got a 20% decrease in conversions. You can set up the lifetime budget by switching on the campaign budget optimization and adding it in there. So what is the main takeaways for today? I think the main thing that you need to think about with Facebook and e-commerce is making sure that you're setting up your catalog ads, because you can sell. Think about the catalog ads as a merchant center on Google. You put your items on there and then you can sell. Constantly check your disapproved items, because you'd be surprised at how many items get disapproved. And you want to make sure that all your items, especially the ones that are going to sell, are showing on Facebook. Make your messaging geared towards prospecting and remarketing. People lately have forgotten about brand, and this is where Google comes in. It's great for brand. You can use the prospecting messaging to put your brand across, why people should buy from you, because at the end of the day, people buy from people. And use your remarketing with more urgency. Use power words like fabulous and empowered. Use stuff like Google Data Studio to save you time, because the less time that you're trying to figure out what the stats are, the more time you've actually got to work on the account. And more importantly, make sure that you're trying new things and that you're testing everything, because you don't know what is going to work on your account until you try it. As long as you remember exactly what you've set up, when you've done it, and you keep a close eye on that, you won't see any negative effect. And don't forget, Facebook has a functionality for A/B testing so that you can use that A/B testing. Thank you for listening.